Hi, I'm going to tell you a story, a very interesting story. A story that involves Godhra, the story that involves a gentleman called Mody, a story that involves Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and a story that involves a Cammode. So it's going to be a very interesting story. Okay, the story starts with this gentleman called Mody. Mody was the MP of Godhra in Gujarat. He was the MP of Godhra in Gujarat and he was a very close friend of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, but not from Congress. They were friends, they were personal friends. Now, Mr. Mody was very against Mrs. Gandhi when she declared the emergency. He was absolutely against and he did all sorts of protest and everything, and he was jailed during the emergency. Mind you, I tell you once again, Mody was a very close friend of Mrs. Gandhi, but he was still jailed. He was jailed in Rohtak near Delhi, Rohtak prison. Now one fine day, Pilu Gandhi, let me tell you before I get into the story, Pilu Gandhi was slightly plumpish, a gentleman like me, maybe a little more plumpish than I am. He was a slightly healthy gentleman. So, one day in jail, Mody gets a letter. And the letter is from Mrs. Indira Gandhi. So, the jailer saw the letter. He himself was scared. Indira Gandhi writing to this prisoner. So, the jailer went with the letter. And in the letter, Mrs. Gandhi asked Pilu, okay, look, buddy, you need anything? Do you need anything? Are you okay? Is everything fine with you in the jail? Mody said, yeah. He said, I'm fine. He replied, but he said, I have a small problem. Can you do me a favor? He said, can you get me a commode? वो क्या है ना, because I am kind of plumpish, I can't squat, so वो बैठ नहीं सक रहा हूँ मैं. I can't, do my daily routine. So can you help me with a commode? Mrs. Gandhi got the letter and immediately she wrote to the jailer asking him to immediately arrange for a commode. Now mind you, a Rohtak jailer getting letter directly from the Prime Minister of India. The Rohtak jailer was very nervous. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम यह था कि उन दिनों वो कमोड नहीं मिल रहा था. He couldn't get a commode. There was no way he could organize a commode for Mr. Mody, and mind you, again like I said, Mody was a healthy man. So what this genius jailer did is he called a mason. And they say he asked the mason to build a brick commode with the size of, taking the size and the length and breadth of Mr. Mody. He built a commode, he built a kind of a brick structure where Mr. Mody could go next day morning, and he did it overnight. The mason came and built it, and the next day morning Mr. Mody could sit easily and do his routines. This was the story of Mody, emergency, Godhra and Mrs. Indira Gandhi. What a story.